I played a lot of 3rd edition in college, though, and then once I got out of college, I picked up Pathfinder. And the more I got into 3rd edition and figured out how many breaks and retarded things there were in the game that just were unquantifiable and not, they were just too vague, Pathfinder seemed like a great alternative. It's just, 3rd edition had 15 years to fuck itself in the ass with terrible mechanics and new abilities that just made your character super powerful that they didn't think all the way through. And, ugh. Pathfinder will probably end up the same way. I'm not saying that it won't, but for now it's got a lot less of that material to draw from. And they got rid of a lot of the rules clump inside of 3.5. One of the biggest issues that I had with 3.5 was just there were so many goddamn rules. So many rules. And it just got overbearing. Like, you'd spend 10, 20 minutes in a game looking up 1 or 2 single rules and trying to figure out how they worked. And it just, ugh. Pathfinder tried to get rid of that, and it got rid of a good deal of it. For example, they smashed listen, search, and spot into perception, for example. So they got rid of a lot of the skills split. Like, if you took a look at knowledges inside of 3.5, there were like 1 billion knowledges. Stupid. They kind of streamlined how special attacks work, like grapple and disarm and stuff. And even after they kind of did that huge rules crunch to it, it still has a lot of rules. It's still pretty difficult. I've been playing it for about 1.5 years now, and we still spend about 10 minutes a session looking up things. By contrast, when I played one session of Next, the one session that I played of it, we looked up rules once for 3 minutes. And that was because the exploration rules had changed vastly from the previous playtest. Okay, so 2... You know, is that to say that Next is going to be right for everybody? Not necessarily, but so far I've been very happy with it. Other things that they did with Next, they got rid of a lot of the mathematical crunch, so you don't need to spend time counting up 9 different modifiers to make sure you get the right thing. A lot of modifiers are crunched down into what's called advantage and disadvantage, which I believe is in 4th edition as well. And if you're unfamiliar with it, essentially what it does is you roll 2 d20s instead of 1, or 2 of whatever die it is instead of 1, and take the higher of the numbers. And then there's disadvantage, which is the same thing, except you take the lower number. And that's a huge part of the math side of it. They did add a little bit more over this last playtest, which is kind of uncomfortable for me. I hope they don't continue to do it, because I like how it's kind of... it sparingly uses that. I mean, other than that, the big things that you need to remember are some very, very basic DCs, which it's a base 5 type of thing, which I'll discuss in a bit. And the fact that cover is -2 for half cover and -5 for 3/4 cover, respectively, on attack checks. And then if you have 3/4 cover, I think it is, you have advantage on dex saving throws. So those are the only real numbers associated with it. Okay, let's get rid of these. Fire Beetle. And we'll save that. Fatal fire, save. Alright. Awesome. Now I need to do Carrion Crawler. Alright, let's see what we got. Pathfinder is a little more balanced than 3rd, but not much. I think it's a lot more balanced. Obviously you disagree with me, but like I said, I think it's just a matter of 3rd edition As a game designer, when you're trying to balance the game, you have to keep in mind everything that came before that in the game. That's why it can take so long for, say, DLCs and competitive games to come out, or them to release a new character, for example, because they have to think of every change that's going to happen with it. It happens in MOBAs as well, too, like Dota and League of Legends. When you have 15 years to produce material, and people want you to produce material constantly, you're just going to make mistakes and drop things and miss this thing interacts with this thing in such a way that makes these two things make you invincible or whatever. It's just, that happens. Pathfinder has been around a lot less time, so they haven't had to deal with that. There's still a couple breaks in Pathfinder, but they tend to be... they're in such a way that you don't really break the game wide open. I don't think I've seen an invincible character in Pathfinder yet, but I've seen very powerful things like there's a break to make you have infinite rage as a barbarian, for example.